Welcome to Madison City Channel's Know Your Candidate interviews, co-sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Dane County. I'm your interviewer, Shel Gross, and I would like to introduce Colin Barushok, running for Alder in District 2. As we begin, I'd like you to give an opening statement about the educational, vocational, and civic experience you have, which qualifies you for this office, and why you are running for Alder.
Thank you, Shel. Thank you for having me. I'm Colin Barushok. I've lived in Madison for almost a decade now. I came here to study mathematics at the University of Wisconsin. And during that time, I became involved in public service, my first role being a representative on the Student Association, in particular, the committee that deals with student segregated fees. During that time, I also started working in the state Senate as a Senate messenger, which is a support staff role, would put me in a lot of committee hearings, floor sessions, and I got to observe the legislative process. And I became more interested in public service. So I continued as a full-time employee in the state Senate until March of 2020 when the pandemic hit. And that's when I went over to the Department of Safety and Professional Services to license doctors, respiratory therapists, physician assistants, and others. In the meantime, I served on the Vending Oversight Committee, where we were able to implement the popular Streetery program permanently. And I currently serve in the Alcohol License Review Committee, where I both defend neighbors and promote businesses across the city, including in District 2. So I'm running because I want to continue serving my neighbors in District 2. And they deserve an alder that will work for them, an alder that will be responsive to their concerns, that will advocate for their positions on the Common Council and on committees, commissions, and boards, and one that will help them navigate city government. And I want to be that alder and continue serving my neighbors in District 2.
Thank you. What actions or programs would you support to enhance public safety in Madison? And in particular, what is your position on the use of body cameras by Madison police officers?
I think that the city of Madison should give body cameras to all police officers. Body cameras have proven successful in other parts of the country, including other cities in this state. I've heard from prosecutors and defense attorneys who have said that it helps provide the best view into interactions between police and citizens. And journalists like it because it helps them show what their government employees are doing. In particular, we put a lot of trust in the police. And I believe in an open and transparent government, and I believe that body cameras will promote that value. As for public safety, the city street projects need to be designed in such a way that discourage speeding downtown, that encourage safer driving and compliance with traffic laws. So I support the Complete Green Streets program, and I think that we should continue pursuing that program and similar programs that provide safe streets.
Yeah. What do you see as the most important environmental issues the city needs to address? And what will be your priorities for council action on these issues?
We need to work with experts to deal with stormwater, and in particular, when we think about new development, we need to ensure that there are incentives for green development, proper stormwater management, and reduction in the amount of salt that we use to clear the streets after snowstorms. I'm pleased that the city recently enacted an ordinance that requires the removal of excess salt and discourages the use of excess salt. And finally, I think we need to focus on increasing the tree canopy across the city to, one, mitigate the urban heat island effect, and it also is an aesthetic value to our city.
What is your position on increasing pay for alders?
I think that if the alder pay were going to be increased, it should definitely go to the voters for referendum. Now, I wouldn't vote in favor of increasing pay for alders because I think that as we see in this election, there are 50 candidates running for 20 seats, and which shows that there are a lot of people who are ready to step up to the plate and serve their community with the pay rate that alders are already getting paid. It's a public service, and it shouldn't be a career. However, like I previously said, I think it's a good question for the voters, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe that it would be required under the law to go to referendum.
Thank you. What, if anything, do you think the city should be doing to support economic development?
I think the city should continue to promote policies that encourage businesses, small businesses downtown to, one popular program was a streetery program, which allowed restaurants to create street cafes. I think we should promote more food carts. We should have a discussion about allowing food trucks in Madison, because all of these types of things make the downtown and the city more vibrant. That will promote business, but on the other hand, we need workers. We need to attract workers, which means we also need to provide housing. Without housing, we don't get workers, and we have a housing shortage in Madison. So it's important that we incentivize, or that we continue building more housing units, 2,000 a year just to keep up with population growth, and then 3,000 as soon as possible. That'll make housing affordable. That'll help get workers downtown to work in our crucial industries, which will help the businesses' revenue, which will go and create a positive economic development feedback loop.
How do you see racial disparities impacting constituents in your district? And are there any actions the city should take to address these?
I think that the affordable housing will address racial disparities. It's no secret that people of color have less wealth through decades or centuries of racist policies. So making sure that housing is affordable will attract a diverse workforce downtown and will help people of color start to gain back that wealth. I also would support increasing resources for police for anti-bias training and anti-bias training and in general otherwise anti-racist policing procedures. And I think the City of Madison Police Department already does a good job with that and is one of the better police departments in the country. I don't want anyone to think that I'm calling them racist, but we all need to continually evaluate our own biases, and police being one of the agencies who we entrust with weapons and so forth is a good place to start.
What are the most critical issues that you see facing the people in your district, and what would you propose to address these?
I'm going to go back to housing. That's one of the biggest issues in our district. So we need to build more housing, but we also need to, another big issue in District 2 specifically is historical preservation. District 2 is home to the highest concentration of historical landmarks in the city. And if you walk around Mansion Hill and other parts is, one of the last remaining parts of the 19th century in Madison. So we must defend our historical landmarks, and we must balance those efforts with new development. We need another big issue for my District 2 is transportation. A lot of people rely on the bus system, so we need to support bus rapid transit and support its implementation and evaluate that program to make sure that it is operating efficiently and equitably.
And finally, what would you like to say to the viewing audience as we complete this interview?
I say thank you for viewing this interview. Thank you for being involved in local politics, and please come out to vote on February 21st. If you live in District 2, I hope that I have your vote. But if you live anywhere else in the city, know that there's important races on our ballot. The mayoral race is on the ballot. There's a primary there. The Supreme Court race is on the ballot. There's a primary there. There's going to be questions about amending the state constitution. There's going to be a question about the structure of the Common Council, and depending on there might be another question on the ballot too, depending on what happens in the next few days here. So everyone should turn out to vote. Make a plan, find your polling place, and stay involved.
I want to thank Colin for speaking with us and the viewing audience for taking the time to know your candidates. I want to remind everyone that primary election day is Tuesday, February 21st, and the general election is Tuesday, April 4th. As with every election, please vote. On behalf of Madison City Channel and the League of Women Voters of Dane County, thank you for joining us.